Owen Spears there, the 17 front row sitter as it stands, and if it stays as it is, that's a superb effort for Owen. We'll start outside front row unless somebody can beat his current time, which is a half a tenth off the fastest of Alexander. Alexander down the inside of Booth. Booth looks to be struggling a little bit today. He's normally very quick with one lap pace, but he's currently down in 10th, just in front of Braid and O'Connor. Lambert improves with a 47.336. That takes him up to 7th. So we've got 2 minutes remaining. Drivers will have 2 laps, maybe 3 if they can get round just before the checkered flag to improve, and the time to beat so far is a 47.018 by Aaron Alexander. Barker moves to the inside. Further cat and mouse there as Alexander now has to go to the front, relinquish the toe. He's followed round by Booth. Booth sticking to the back of him, so expect an improvement from Booth. He's only half a second back as the pack is very tightly matched. There's Ballesteros and Blythe working together. The 14 is Lambert looking to gain a toe from the pair of them in front as those 3 come over the line. Ballesteros with an improved time but not position. 1 minute remaining, and with a 47 second lap, these drivers will get 2 further attempts. Minute left. Alexander the one to beat so far from Spears and Barker. Morris, Blythe, Ballesteros, that's your top 6. That'll be your front 3 rows if nothing changes. Ballesteros using the toe to close up onto the back of Blythe. Round the bottom corner. Looks like Barker is back in front of Aaron Alexander and Callum Booth. So as they come round, they've got 1 final lap remaining. Maybe get 2 in there. Barker improves to go front row at the expense of Spears. There is very little between those 2 drivers. Morris with an improved time but stays 4. See there, 9,000th of a second between Barker in second and Spears in third. There's still half a tenth though for either of them to improve. 7 seconds of the session remaining now as they come through. Don't think the checker will be out possibly before the kart comes through. So the first one over the line is Jennings. He remains 5th as it stands. Final roll of the dice for all the drivers. Barker looking to make up half the tenth. Head down to see if that'll make the difference as they come over the line. It doesn't, as Alexander goes even quicker with a 46.973. Spears the only one to come over the line to make any difference, but he can't. Your pole sitter for Junior Pro Kart will be Aaron Alexander, a 46.973. From Mason Barker, a superb Owen Spears in third. Callum Booth is 4th. A frantic Junior Pro Kart session there with a lot of games playing going on between the front drivers not wanting to be at the front of the pack. But the guy that will be there at 11:30 when we return will be Aaron Alexander. A superb pole position lap and a superb return to action for the young man that last time out, you'll remember, was involved in an incident going round hairpin 3 that resulted in some damaged ribs for the driver. A heavily damaged kart which was repaired on the day and has been repaired for this round, and it looks like it's performing very well. Aaron Alexander will be your pole sitter for Junior Pro Kart. Alongside him will be his championship rival Mason Barker. That battle will rage all day, I would imagine. There's very little between those drivers. I think 5 points in the championship sees Aaron Alexander at the top of the pile so far from Barker, and those 2 really, between the pair of them, have been a class of their own. I think we've not had a different race winner in the series since Harry Wilson at round 2. Those 2 have shared the spoils. The drivers go over the Weybridge. That's the 9 of Jacob Richardson. That is the 17 of Owen Spears. Reminder again, he qualified himself with a superb third position. His highest qualifying position of the season so far. happy with everybody there as we get ready for the next qualifying session, which will be our cadets. Welcome back for our cadet qualifying session. Karts lined up on the in the dummy grid, waiting to be sent on their way. Circuit is clear, so in a few seconds' time they'll be out on circuit for their qualifying session. Ones to look out for in this one, I think we've got at least one championship protagonist missing. We'll cover that as they come round and go over the line. There we go. That as we come out, the 99 is Alex Mallard. He's currently running second in the championship, and he's following Oliver Buckton, our championship leader. Both of those drivers supremely quick, but last time out it was a case of beat the girls, as we had Gracie Mitchell and Catherine Potter taking wins. Bella Franklin, possibly the fastest driver of the day, involved in some early incidents that hampered her overall position, but her race pace was superb. So keep an eye out for those three drivers. But as we come round to start the first lap, Buckton obviously positioned himself on the dummy grid to get himself out nice and early at the front of the pack. Mallard follows him round. So we have an 8-minute session for cadet qualifying. That will give the karts, each driver, around 8 or 9 laps to get their best time in. So as we follow the front three round, it's Buckton, Mallard, that's the 20 of Catherine Potter following. Gets a good run out of that corner, goes down the inside of Mallard. So she's carrying a lot of pace out of that corner. In the background there, the blue kart with the blue helmet is the 8 of Bella Franklin, following the 50 of Lizzie Mentier. So the 5 karts there working together to get the best lap they can. First time round this as they come over the line. Let's have a look at the standings from everybody's first effort, and it's Potter who takes first blood from the pack as they go over. 50.045. So we'll just wait for the final few drivers to come over to set their first lap, and we'll give you a rundown of the early top 10 as Wyatt moves up to second. Charlie Wyatt, he's been your pole sitter in the last 2 rounds, and he's back there at the head of the field. So the top 10 from the first effort is Potter, Wyatt, Mentier, Buckton, Franklin, Mallard, Barlow, Boulding, Shields and Mack. Lewis Mallard in the 818 is 11th. We've got Watson, Robinson, Peniston, Thompson, Stanmore, Wilson, Corking, Harrison, Pawsey and Benson. That's 20 karts on the screen. There's more than that out on the grid as Potter goes fastest, but is immediately beaten with a superb 44. 5.45 by Franklin. We spoke about her having some superb pace last time, and it looks like that's transitioned into qualifying. Just over 5 remaining, and it's Franklin from Potter. Buckton, Mentier goes down to 5th as Wyatt comes round in 4th, and as it is at the moment, Wyatt looks to be at the other end of the circuits to everybody else that's setting fast times. So when the checker comes out in just under 5 minutes, we could see either Wyatt over the line early or Wyatt being the final one over to try and beat everybody else's time. Franklin moves in front of Mentier round hairpin 4. Mentier tags onto the back as the 5 karts at the head of the field of the qualifying session come over. No improvements for any of the top 6. Boulding, however, makes a move up from 8th to 4th. He's only a 10th back now, so we have 1 second splitting the top 9. Barlow with an improved time, a 50.476, moves him up to 9th. Harrison and Pawsey swap round. Mack moves up, he's 3rd in the championship, moves up to 8th. There is Charlie Wyatt in the 23, followed by the 77 of Pawsey. Mack on the back of that in the 16 with the bright orange helmet. 52, that's Sebastian Corking making his first appearance here at Teesside, as is there the 123 of Harrison. 2 drivers with making their first outing, so we'll see how they go on as the day goes on, as Harrison gets it slightly wide going round the South Bank corner. Franklin improves on her time to cement her pole position, a provisional pole with 3.5 remaining. Wyatt, though, comes over the line. Improves, but only to second. That nudges Potter, Buckton and Balding down to 5th. So as we enter the business end of the session, it's Franklin, Wyatt, Potter, Buckton, Balding, Mentier, Mallard, Mack, Barlow and Shields. That's your top 10. One glaring omission in Cadets is your final winner last time out, Gracie Mitchell, missing today for round 6. I'm sure we'll see her back for round 7. So we're going to see a new final winner this time. Potter with a better lap disposes Wyatt down to 3rd. So it's Franklin and Potter, your provisional front row. From Wyatt, Balding, Buckton, Mentier and Mallard. Just under 3 remaining. Franklin on the back of Potter. Wyatt has gone fastest though. Wyatt up to pole position. Could it be 3 from 3 in qualifying for Wyatt with a 49.214 the time to beat. Franklin moves to the head of the pack there. So they'll look to use her now as the tow as Buckton goes through. Potter drops back into the mix to try and use everybody else. Mentier, however, forced out. Everybody getting themselves in line there. I think that might have ruined a few drivers' laps at the bottom end of the circuit. Let's have a look as they come over. No improvements for any of those as expected, with them all getting themselves into line at the bottom. So we've got 2 remaining. Charlie Wyatt, your pace setter, with a 49.214. Drivers now coming over will have 2 remaining laps to get a time set. As they come over, I think Wyatt's already crossed the line, so no improvement for him this time. Bottom end of the circuit is where the action's at the moment. We've got 1 kart on their own. They're going to come over. That's the 26 of Charlie Benson, another driver making their first appearance here at Teesside this season on what so far has been a superb cadet grid. Growing with every round. Although we do seem to be missing a few 160s this time out, with a lot of drivers contesting the BKC series that normally come when that's not on. Ollie Poole, a driver that is at the leading that championship at the minute, so understandable that he wants to try and head towards and take a win in BKC. So we wish Ollie all the best in that championship, and we hope to see him back here for the rest of the season. Just under a minute remaining, so drivers at the bottom end of the circuit will get this lap and potentially another before the checker comes out. They should all easily get round the bottom end of that circuit before it comes. So we've got Wyatt, Franklin, Balding, Potter, Buckton, Mentier, Mallard, Mack, Shields and Barlow. Improvement for Franklin, but not enough to move to the front. Just under a 10th off. Buckton improves as well, but stays 5th. So slight margins for drivers. Barlow improves, as does Mallard, both taking positions at the expense of Shields and Penniston respectively. 5 seconds remaining. The checkered flag is about to come out. First one over the line to take the checker is the 77 of Sophie Pawsey. No improvement, she'll start 18th. Other drivers over the line, William Robinson, no improvement either, 19th. So the main part of the front pack will come over the line very shortly. Let's see if any of these can improve to beat Wyatt. Franklin over the line, no improvement. Mentier though, big improvement, jumps to 3rd. Shields is over the line, he'll start 10th at best so far. As we see them coming round the bottom corner, that's the 52 and the 123 at the bottom end of the circuit. That's Corkin and Harrison. Improvement by Penniston takes him up to the 11th. Wyatt is over the line. He'll be your pole sitter unless there's a miraculous improvement from the rest of the field. There isn't, so your pole sitter in Cadets will be Charlie Wyatt from Bella Franklin. Another superb effort by Charlie Wyatt. That's 3 pole positions from 3 appearances here at Teesside since he joined the series. And running on his own as well, that showed some supreme 1-lap pace as he was running at the other end of the circuit to the bulk of drivers that had Potter, Franklin, Mac, Mallard and your championship leader Buckton in it, and at times those 5 drivers got in each other's way and potentially ruined each other's laps. Wyatt kept himself out of harm's way at the bottom end of the circuit, pumped in the lap times, and once again you'll see the 23 of Charlie Wyatt on pole position. The 50 there of Lizzie Mentier goes over. A superb qualifying session for her sees her in 3rd. Mentier, a driver that has shown great improvement from the start of the season since she joined the 200 Extreme class. 818 of Lewis Mallard goes over the weighbridge. The 42 is Leon Barlow. There is your pole sitter, the number 23 of Charlie Wyatt, with his customary bang of the side pod as he goes over the weighbridge. Very happy with himself. We'll see if we can get a word with Charlie Wyatt later on. We'll see if we can get him up for an interview, as he's been superb in his qualifying session so far. He's just got to get that one, get that sorted into his race speed. He normally drops back 1 or 2 places, but if he can get his start nailed and get himself going, he's certainly one to look out for as a potential heat or final winner today. In the background, going out, you'll hear the 2 strokes. We'll be back with those very shortly. And we are back with our 2-stroke class, a class with a mix of karts out on circuit, so you'll see a variance in speed and cornering speeds from a number of these karts, but it brings a mix of racing as drivers either have to come through a field of karts that are either quick around the corner or not so much on the straight, or faster on the straight and not so much in the corner. Drivers to watch out for in this one. Look, keep an eye out for the 44, Andy Ambrose. Clean sweep round 5. Got a lot of new drivers out on circuit with us joining this class, so we'll try and have a look at those throughout the day and introduce you to those as we the 2-stroke class here at Teesside continues to grow. Drivers joining the series. Other drivers to keep an eye out for as well. The 33 of Max Prentice, a driver that's shown great speed, but unfortunately last time out was hampered by some mechanical issues that saw him miss all of the final almost. He did half a warm-up lap and ended up parking it on the outside of hairpin 2. So if your 10-minute session, the first over the line at the top of the field is currently Daniel Kell from Andy Ambrose. 77 running an X30 is Richard Cannon, he runs 3rd. Prentice is 4th. Ficini, another driver who has improved no end in terms of speed. Probably lacks a little bit of consistency though, so hopefully we can get that one. He can get that ironed out. Is the 4. We've got a driver spinning to the outside of hairpin 1. That's the 26 of Chris Gibbon, a driver joining us for the first time today. Cannon improves on his time, goes 2nd. So it's Kell, Cannon, Ambrose, Prentice, Ficini. Grinsell though ruins that and moves up to 4th. Lindsay up to 5th. Prentice up to 3rd. So you'll notice the driver numbers down the left side are in blue for senior and in white for either junior or minimax. Senior as well split between some drivers running Rotax, at least one driver running an X30 I believe, which is Richard Cannon. So we have 12 drivers out on circuit. Kell, Cannon, Prentice, Ambrose, Grinsell, Ficini, Lindsay, Smith, Hovels, Gibbon, Kell and Slammen. So they are your 12 drivers for today, and they will grid up as they qualify, so it won't be class by class. If you're a junior or a mini-max driver and you stick a time in that qualifies you in 3rd, like Prentice is at the moment, that's where you'll start your race day. Rolling start for the 2 strokes, so keep an eye out for that one when they come out. There'll be no time to make a drink when they come out. They're straight out of the dummy grid, and before you know it, the green flag is going. Kell though Daniel Kell is your early pace setter, a 42.864 the time to beat. 2 Kells on the grid today, the 89 of Daniel Kell, the 90 of Stephen Kell. An even better time, this time by Kell, takes his time down to a 42.372. That's going to be a hell of a time to beat by Kell. Ambrose, normally a driver that will take the challenge to him. He's dropped down to, he's currently 5th, running. So we've got 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. As mentioned, Kell, your pace setter at a 42.372. It's going to take something very special to beat that time. He's currently being followed around the circuit by the 77 of Cannon, who looks to improve on his time, but he needs a full second to beat Kell for pole position. There's the 33 of Prentice, unlucky last time out, looking to set a time, but he's going to need to improve as well as Ficini becomes the highest junior or mini-max driver with 3rd. Mentioned that Ficini has improved no end in terms of his pace since joining the series at the start of the year. Just needs to keep his head down, maintain a little bit more consistency, and keep out of some of the skirmishes. And I think we'll see Ficini take the battle to Prentice, who's pretty much had this junior mini-max series championship to his own so far this season. So we've got 4.5 minutes remaining. Cannon has improved his time slightly, but it's still not going to be enough to beat Kell. Well, Daniel Kell, who currently sits with a 42.372. The field has closed up though. We are now within 4 seconds of each other. It was 7 at the start of the session as some of our newer drivers get to grips with the circuit and improve. There's your 2 coming over. That's the 44 of Ambrose, followed by the 77 of Cannon. The 44 of Ambrose, though, peels off the circuit and goes into the pits. Not sure whether he's got a problem or just feels that he can't beat his current time and is looking to preserve his tyres and machinery for the rest of the day. The 89 comes round down the inside. That's Kell, your provisional pole sitter. Cannon looks to slot in behind and use Kell, but Kell looks to have extended that gap out fairly quickly there. I think Cannon's let him go. 2 karts working together. That's the 3 of Jay Smith and the 86 of Alfie Lindsay. That's a class battle between them two. Very little between them. There's a 10th between those 2 drivers. Lindsay taking a very wide line round the South Bank corner, looking to maintain some speed. He dives down the inside of Smith. Smith, though, sits it out on the outside and keeps himself out of trouble. 3 remaining, those 2 drivers. No improvements. All drivers seem to have settled themselves down from their early improvements. Very little happening in terms of time improvements with Ambrose off the circuit, so 11 karts running. Full rundown with 3 remaining as these 2 drivers battle it out. Smith lets Lindsay go and Lindsay goes to the head. Quick look back to make sure that he's still there. So it's Kell, Cannon, Ficini, Prentice, Ambrose, Grinsell, another new driver running in the 12. Lindsay, Smith, Slammon, Hovels, Gibbon and Kell. The 77 looks to have taken a very wide line round the circuit there. He is joining back on. So let's have a look at where some of our new drivers to the series are sat. There's the 77 of Cannon, he sits 2nd. The 12 of Grinsell currently sits down in 6th. Grinsell, a driver not short of racing experience. A lot of pro kart racing for Grinsell. Moves up into 2-stroke for this one here at Teesside for his first time out. Slammon, he sits in 9th. Hovels 10th. Gibbon 11th. Stephen Kell runs 12th. They're your new drivers to the series. We'll see. Let's be interesting to see how they progress through the day as they get acquainted with the circuit. The 77 of Cannon comes over the line. Won't improve this time as the start of the lap was ruined as he went very wide round the National Loop corner at the bottom end. Before there of Ficini looks to get a lot of grip round that bottom corner. Looked like the kart was bunny hopping round that corner as it was gaining a lot of grip and not sliding as we often see these 2-strokes do. Other drivers in the pits. Smith's gone in the pits. Kell's in the pits as well. Obviously comfortable with his time. Thinks he can't improve, so we've got Kell, your provisional pole sitter in the pits with a minute remaining. Ambrose in and Smith in. 9 karts out on circuit to try and improve. Big gaps though between some of them. Cannon's got 6th sense to make up to try and get himself onto pole, but currently sits front row. Ficini and Prentice have got a 10th between them two, and they'll be second row as it stands. Ambrose will start 5th at best unless he rejoins the fray, having popped into the pits with 5 remaining. Grinsell in 6th, 1.3 off the pole position time of Kell. Improvement by Prentice, but only very slightly. Doesn't go in front of Ficini, so as it stands, he'll start on the outside of the second row. The number 10 of Slammon comes over the line. No improvement, still 2.3 off the pole. We've got 17 seconds remaining. The only kart that looks like he'll come over and get himself another lap is Lindsay. There's the 86 coming over now. No improvement. 7 seconds remaining in this session. Checkered flag is in the hands. The checkered flag is out. So we've got a driver over. That looks like Grinsell. I'm not sure whether he beat the clock. There's no checker up on him, so it looks like he might get himself another lap. A lot of drivers coming in very early before they've hit the checker, slowing themselves down. So no improvements for Ficini, Hovels or Stephen Kell. These drivers, the checker is out, but they can still cross the line and improve, but most of them coming off the circuit and straight into the pits. Looks like the pace in the circuit has dropped away. A lot of drivers coming in early to either preserve tyres or be comfortable with their time. Lindsay, though, is a driver that's going to come over the line to try and improve. He doesn't and finishes in 7. So it looks like we've got Kell. Cannon comes over the line, but he's slowed as well. So it's Kell from Cannon front row. Ficini, Prentice, Ambrose, Grinsell, Lindsay, Smith, Slammon, Hovels, Gibbon and Kell. Your 12 drivers in senior, junior and minimax. An X30 thrown in there as well. That is the number 77 of Cannon coming over the line in the white, orange and black livery. One more session for you. It is Senior Pro Kart and we'll be back with that very shortly. Track is clear and ready for the Senior Pro Kart session. Another bumper grid of Senior Pro Kart sees in excess of 25 drivers, and we'll see how they fare. Early karts out onto the circuit. Looks like to be could be the 52 of Connor White leads them out onto the track. And there we go. We are underway in this session. Just keep an eye out for a number of drivers. There's a new one to the series, but certainly not to karting, is the 111. That today will be piloted by Jack Grinsell, a championship winner in his own right, having taken the 2017 PFI Pro Kart Championship in an intense season-long battle with Steve Thompson. Grinsell came out as the winner of that series. We'll see how he fares today as our drivers look to take the battle to the 43 of Connor Lucas. We'll see where he is out on circuit. I've not seen that kart yet. There it is, coming through the bus stop chicane, the 43, the phenomenal Connor Lucas, your championship leader and certainly the one to beat in Senior Pro Kart here at Teesside. That's a very, very different technique there going round by the 19 of Richardson. Round that bottom corner, that's the 46 and the 117, the 46 Rob Lowe, 117 Ross Jackman, another driver who last time out picked up the award for most improved driver. He's certainly found another couple of tenths since the start of the season as Jackman. So as our drivers come over the line, we'll have a quick look. As Lucas comes over, we'll see where he sits. So that looks like everybody's had at least one attempt at a time. Your early pace setter is Josh Falkus from Connor Lucas. Jack Grinsell in the 111 runs third, Gardner fourth, Lowe in fifth. Tate, Brewis, White and Reddish and Tate, your top 10. A lot of subclasses in the Pro Kart class, they'll all run together and all score championship points on an individual basis from start to finish. Blue is your pro drivers, the drivers that you should be expecting to see at the head of the field. Red is your clubman drivers. The green drivers will be noted as drivers that are running in the over 40s class, and some supremely quick drivers in that alone. Fastest one in that is Steve Nicol, who currently runs 6th. Tate improves, moves up to 3rd at the expense of Grinsell, down to 4th. As they come through, there's the 124 of Alan Lowe's. 5 there is Chris Pease in the black overalls, green helmet, followed by the look like the 198 as we it's the bottom end of the circuit. 2 drivers there running out of the same camp, working together. 111 of Grinsell, followed by the 43 of Connor Lucas. 2 drivers that may well be in the same kart this time next week for the duel in the British Pro Karting Crown, the British 24-hour race here at Teesside. I'll give you more details on that later on and where you can watch that and how you can get involved over the weekend. But as we rejoin the action with 6 remaining, the O-Plate of Josh Fulkus, having won the December O-Plate meeting here, currently sits on provisional pole position, followed by the 151 of Brandon Truman Reddish, who currently sits 6th. Over the line for both of those drivers, no improvement. The 19 of Richardson comes over, no improvement either. Let's look further down as they come over the line. Nichols moves up and a superb 3rd for him. White, Gardner and Black. There he is over the line. Steve Nicol looks to be in a different colour race suit this time, and everybody knows new equipment is worth at least a 10th, and it's certainly working for Steve as he moves up to 3rd. The bottom end of the circuit, drivers going very wide early out of the South Bank loop, trying to get themselves some additional grip in the into the slippy 3rd corner. As they go round the bottom bend, we've got a looks to be the 80 there of Brewis. Reddish improves slightly and moves up a place to 5th from 6th at the expense of White. So a mix of pro, 40 and clubman drivers as the colour chart mixes itself up. Provisional front row, Fallon appears out of nowhere to go to the front row with a 46.782, a driver that wasn't even in the top 10 before he put that one in, but is currently 3rd in the championship. The 24 coming over is usually piloted by Jensen Barker. Could possibly have Paul Barker in that one today. I'll look to confirm that one later on. But the top 10 as we enter the final part of the session. Fulkus improves his time to cement the pole. Another 2 tenths added. So it's Fulkus, Fallon, Lucas, Grinsell, Nichols, Gardner, Reddish, White, Tate and Tate. That's Scott Tate and Mark Tate running together in 9th and 10th. One driver that we would expect to see further up so far is Sam Harris. He put it on the front row last time. He raced here in round 4. Currently sits down the pack, 8.5 tenths off pole in 14th. That is Fallon, a provisional front row sitter in the 113 at the front of that pile, chasing Connor Lucas and Jack Grinsell. Going down the inside of the 17, Jack Harwood. So as Fulkus comes over the line, there is half a lap between these karts for their time, so at least one of them will be setting a time at least 30 seconds before the other as they come over the line. No improvements for both Fallon and Lucas, but not enough to nudge themselves to front row. It's fractional at best. They're going to need to find 3 tenths. It's going to need something special to beat the 46.462 currently set by Josh Fulkus. Improvement at the further down in 17th for Alan Lowe's. 3 remaining, that's the 105 of Josh Henderson going through screen. 7.57 is Simon Doughty. Improvements by White, improvement by Reddish as he takes a position to nudge Tate back down. So at the moment we've got an all Tate row, but that's ruined as well by the reappearance of Nichols in 4th. Lowe is up to 5th. Harris has improved, but not as much as expected, as he goes down to, he goes up to 12th. Improvement at the front has seen Grinsell and Lucas both take time out of Fallon. There's very little, there's half a tenth between those three, but they still need to find 1.5 tenths with 2 minutes remaining to beat the O-plate of Fulkus there. Black livery, black overalls with the pink and white helmet. He's going to be followed over by the 52 of Connor White and the 151 of Truman Reddish. These guys will have 3 laps in order to improve where they are. Everybody over no improvements. It's Fulkus from Grinsell, Lucas and Fallon. Martin Black comes over, improvement from Gardner. Black down in 11th, so at the moment in 5th and 6th we've got Nichols and Gardner, family connections between those two. So that'll be an interesting third row if it stays as it is. Minute and a half remaining. The pack of Grinsell, Fallon and Lucas have come over with no improvement as they move out onto the back straight using the 44 of Adam Wood as their tow. Grinsell head of that pack. Grinsell will have to go down the inside of Wood. Lucas goes for the same move as well. That's probably going to have ruined Wood's lap as the drivers look to find a little bit of space. They're going to have a minute remaining, so they'll get probably 2 laps in. Fulkus may only get 1 now, as he's due to come over the line in about 20 seconds time to set his next lap. The 24 due over in a moment, which is Barker. So as each driver comes with 1 or 2 laps remaining, it's Fulkus from Grinsell, Lucas and Fallon split by less than 2 tenths. Then you've got another 2 tenths back to Nicholl and Gardner. Fulkus improves his time very, very slightly, so it's 1.5 tenths now that Grinsell, Lucas or Fallon will need to find, or anybody else for that matter. 46.446 is the time to beat as they come out of hairpin 4. Are they going to get held up by the few in front of him? That's Grinsell and Lucas over the line. Lucas improves, but Grinsell doesn't. But it's still not enough. It's 44.549 for Lucas. He still needs to find a tenth. The checkered flag is out. Drivers now coming over will set their final time. 7.57 of Doughty comes over. He's 20th at best this time. Still only 1.2 seconds off the pole. That's how close the senior pro kart is. No improvement from Fulkus. 44.439 is the time to beat. As the 2 drivers going round that bottom corner look to improve. Lucas using the back end of Grinsell to tow him round. Fallon in front of those 3 as those 3 come over. No improvement by all of them. It's Josh Fulkus who will be on pole position. Fulkus from Lucas is your front row. Grinsell then Fallon on the second row. Nichols and Gardner, a very interesting third row there. Lowe, Harris will be row 4. White and Reddish round out the top 10. Tate, Black, Mark Tate, David Brewis, Simon Kelly, Ross Jackman. We've got Nigel Richardson 17th, Alan Lowe's in 18th, Josh Henderson in 19th and Simon Doughty in 20th. There's about another 10 drivers after that we can't even fit on the screen, such as the depth of our senior pro kart class. But there is your pole sitter. It's Josh Fulkus in the O plate. A very interesting front rowers. It's Fulkus on the inside. It will be Lucas on the outside as our drivers come over the weighbridge. The 124 of Alan Lowe's, the 105 of Henderson and the 24 of Barker. There's the 7.57 of Doughty. We'll just wait for our pole sitter to cross the weighbridge. That's Josh Fulkus. He will start on the inside of the front row for Senior Pro Kart. That brings an end to our qualifying session here at Teesside Karting. Join us in about an hour or so for race 1, which will start with Bambinos. Don't miss that. Make yourself a drink, get yourself comfortable in about an hour's time, and we'll see you then.